Many of us are trying to eat less meat, but it's sometimes hard to say no to a juicy burger or a sizzling sausage. So, what if you could satisfy those carnivorous cravings without harming animals or the planet? Meat is a key part of many people's diets and can provide an important source of nutrition and income, particularly in low-income countries. However, the amount of meat people are consuming in many higher-income countries is taking its toll on both our health and our planet. Did you know that animal farming is responsible for 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions? 80% of these emissions come from ruminants like cows and sheep, largely due to the methane they produce when they digest their food. Even lower impact meats like chicken still produce more emissions than most plant-based alternatives. On top of emissions, animal farming also takes up 77% of all farmland, despite providing only 18% of the world's calories. This is because land is needed to grow animal feed, as well as the animals themselves. Unfortunately, despite these impacts and evidence that even moderate red meat consumption poses a significant health risk, global demand for meat is expected to grow. So, how can we satisfy this demand without damaging our planet? Well, using modern biotechnology, scientists have been able to grow meat in a lab. But how does it work? And can we scale it up to meet the ever-growing demand? Meat is typically made from muscle. So to grow meat, we essentially need to grow muscle cells. This can be done using stem cells, taken either from animal embryos or from the muscles of adult animals. Stem cells are undifferentiated cells that are able to divide and develop into many different cell types, including muscle. The stem cells are first grown under specific conditions and in the presence of particular nutrients and proteins, which instruct them to develop into muscle cells. This special mixture is called the culture medium. The cells are then transferred to a large tank called a bioreactor, and their growth continues on an edible 3D frame, which tries to mimic the structure of meat. Eventually, the cells give rise to a product that looks and tastes just like the meat we see in our supermarkets. Not only does this process use up significantly less space and water than animal farming, but it also takes much less time. Only the most valuable meat cuts need to be produced, rather than the whole animal, and the nutritional content of the so-called clean meat can be adjusted to make it healthier. For example, the unhealthy, saturated fats found in most animal meat could be replaced with healthier oils like omega-3. Because the cells are grown in a sterile, controlled environment, clean meat production does not require antibiotics and reduces the risk of human exposure to animal diseases. Animals are only required to provide the initial cell samples, and although animal products are currently required to set up the initial growth conditions, many researchers are currently working to produce animal-free culture media. What's more, clean meat also has the potential to significantly reduce emissions from the meat industry, although this will all depend on whether the energy used in the process is renewable or not. So, why isn't clean meat available yet? Well, as it stands, cultured meat is still quite expensive. The first no-kill burger, made in 2013, came at a cost of 250,000 euros. Since then, however, its price has dropped considerably, and it now only costs about 6 times more than conventional beef. The good news is that, as production gets scaled up, this price is likely to fall further. The process is also very energy intensive. However, further development of the technologies involved, as well as the adoption of cheaper, cleaner sources of energy, will likely reduce these limitations. Clean meat will not be a silver bullet, and, for now at least, plant-based proteins remain a more sustainable and feasible option. Even so, in December 2020, the first lab-grown chicken nuggets were approved for sale in Singapore, and the first clean meat restaurant opened in Tel Aviv a few months before that. Dozens of startups around the world have been set up to develop clean meat products, from fish to foie gras, and more money is being invested into the industry than ever before. Although the technology is still in its early stages, It seems that, within the decade, cultured meat products may well be appearing on your supermarket shelves. Would you eat them? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.